Welcome back to the S2P podcast. I am your host, Delaney Osborne, and we are joined with Lewis Greth today. How are you doing today, Lewis?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yep,
We're going to talk a little bit about Latinxna, the impact, and the future, what we're hoping for to move on to.
Right.
So just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure.
Tell us what you do with Walmart and everything like that.
Of course. So hi, Lewis Greth. I've lived in the area now for just about 20 years. So we relocated here from Arizona. I'm from Tucson originally. And so I came here for Walmart. So I've been with Walmart a little bit over 16 years.
Wow.
I've held different roles there, mostly in merchandising. So I was a buyer and ran some categories there for a little bit. And then I took a little break. While I was at Walmart, I had the chance to help start the Bentonville Film Festival. For those of you who don't know what it is, it's a festival that focuses on supporting diversity and inclusion within film. So a big focus on supporting female directors, but definitely any director, any diversity within kind of like directing and acting and producing. So we started that about 6 years ago, and it gave me a chance, to take a break from Walmart and kind of work on the festival a little bit and help grow that. And then I rejoined Walmart just last November, so I'm coming up on a year of being back with the company. So happy to be back. I'm currently a director over in our strategic partnerships organization. They're doing something totally different than I've ever done. But one thing I have learned is I'm pretty good at building relationships and talking to people. So any role where that's what you do and you can get paid to do it, I'm all in. So
For sure. Yeah, super cool. So tell us a little bit about what you do within Latinxna.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm the co-chair of Latinxna along with Carol. I met, it seems like time is just flying by, but it was a little over a year ago now. I remember meeting with Adam and Carol. At the time, I was running the NBC Universal team here locally. And we were talking about, the film festival, and we were just talking about like how to get like the local community involved, and me being kind of leading like one of the bigger supplier offices in the area. We were trying to figure out like how do we kind of build a strategy to get suppliers and folks like that involved. And little did I know, like, of course, in true Adam fashion, like he was like setting me up for like something more. But he told me like as we were talking that, hey, one thing I don't think enough people really know that your story and that you were really behind the film festival and the idea, and we'd like to present you with an award at this upcoming summit that we're going to have. And anyways, I was, I'm pretty humble. I don't like those things, but I definitely understood the importance of it, right? I think when he explained it to me, I'm like, hey, we need to use that as inspiration to inspire others and let people know that, hey, regardless of what you do or what your position is within a company, you can have impact that's greater just than what you do and what your role is. And I think that's what the film festival was, right? It was one of those things. It was just an idea. I had no idea that it would grow to be what it is.
Yeah.
And it's been really cool to see the impact that it's had, obviously, in the local area. So long story short, we talked about, the award and getting involved there. And so, of course, I attended the summit last October, where I received the Trailblazer Award. But soon after that, it moved to like, all right, let's get to business now.
Yeah.
Now that we gave you an award, now we're going to put you to work. So,
and that's in true Adam fashion as
right,
well.
Yeah. So that was kind of like, yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. But now it's time to work. And so we talked about, he had asked me if I'd be willing to co-chair the Latinxna group, and I definitely did. I was interested. I was a little concerned, quite frankly, because I was in a new job. I knew I was pretty busy with that, and I wanted to make sure that anything I do, I just wanted to make sure I could give it my full attention. But luckily, I have an amazing co-chair in Carol, and as well as all the other folks that Serve to Perform have been super helpful in helping kind of keep us going. So it's been really fun to work on.
For sure. That's so cool. It's so funny, talking. So I grew up with Megan and Sammy, and so Adam's known me since, we were young, which is crazy still to this day to think about. Like we met in like 5th or 6th grade, and we've known each other ever since. So now to say that Adam basically did the same thing with me, like, hey, good that you're friends with them, but I need your help,
Yeah.
But honestly, I love it, and I love this environment, and being able to get involved with things like Latinxna and be able to help in ways that are needed,
Sure.
And so it's so cool. So What do you think, or how would you explain the impact that Latinxna has had on your workplace?
Yeah, it's been, I think it's had a big impact. Personally, what it's allowed me to do is it's allowed me to get a couple things, right? So I think being kind of in this position of being a co-chair, obviously you're a little bit more in a leadership role. So it's given me a chance to kind of interact with other leaders kind of at that level, which has been great. So personally, I think it's impacted me just in terms of building my networks, meeting other kind of like-minded leaders in the region. But when I think about it at work, and especially with everything that's been going on, and the focus right now of the company where it should be, and that's in terms of how do we have racial equality. I think being involved in these has really helped me in my job and what I'm doing. I'm bringing a different perspective to kind of our team and like, hey, how do we think about talent? Are we doing enough to really promote all talent, right? Not just Latino talent, but kind of all talent. So I think it's really had a big impact on me. And then the other thing is Brett Biggs, who's kind of come on as our executive chair. Listen, it doesn't hurt the fact that like I work under his organization. He sees me kind of in this leadership role with this external group. And I think those are the types of things that I would hope that leaders at Walmart are looking for, right? To say hey, I want to find somebody who not only can do the job and do the job well, but who's also like leading in the community and giving back. And so, I think those are other opportunities that I think are hopefully coming because of some of this involvement.
For sure. What would you say that Latinxna has done for our community here in Northwest Arkansas? I know we touched on this a little bit within our impact video that will also be available on our YouTube page, but what would you say that Latinxna has done specifically for this Northwest Arkansas community?
Yeah, I think what it does is it gives a lot of the folks within the community a place to again come together and get exposure and training and development to that otherwise they may not know about or may not have access to, right? For sure. And so I think the biggest thing that it's really brought to the community, at least in the short term, is that we're able to pull all of these folks that have a desire. They have a desire to want to grow, to be empowered. And I think that the forums and the different things that we've been putting on throughout the year are giving them some great tools that they can use to not just be successful at work, but also in their personal life, right? Sure. And I think that I think that Latinxna has done a really great job in a short amount of time of pulling together some really powerful speakers that. Again, just maybe on our own, we wouldn't have had the chance to kind of get that exposure. So,
for sure. Yeah. How important do you think it is to have these empowerment forums and these LRGs when we have them and things like that during a time that we're all virtual? How powerful is, a meeting that is full of intention? How important is that right now?
Yeah, I'm glad that you asked that because I remember having that meeting with Adam and Carol, and we were talking about, we had just had like this wildly successful forum. We were all in person, sitting at the Record, about a year ago. And I think as we thought about COVID and what impacts it was going to have, I think instead of looking at it as something that was going to slow us down, I think the team really looked at it as like, how can we use this in a way to accelerate our efforts and to lean in and embrace what's happening in the world right now, and I think that that's exactly what's happened. So I think that because we're in a virtual world now, we have the ability to maybe reach out to speakers that otherwise might have had scheduling conflicts or just couldn't travel to Northwest Arkansas, and now we're able to get them because it's a little easier to kind of fit in a Zoom meeting during their day versus having to spend a whole couple of days maybe traveling to Northwest Arkansas. So I think it's benefited us in that way, but I also think it's benefited us in the way of, again, I think people just in general can make themselves a little bit more available, knowing that, hey, I don't really have to like get up and get out of my house and run down there. So I think there's been a lot of benefits from it. But so my hats off to the Serve to Perform team in terms of not looking at this as a potential obstacle, but really what is the opportunity and how can we embrace this to lean in? And, thus we're sitting here having a podcast now, right?
Yeah, which is the cool part. We've talked a lot about, Megan talked a lot about how Adam had been wanting this to come to fruition. And, now we're sitting here doing it and having this conversation and being able to talk about Latinxna it's crucial. It's important for people to know. And it's important for people to know in this area too that they can get involved, What are some ways that people could get involved in 2021, or what are you hopeful for Latinxna looking forward into 2021?
Yeah, for sure. Listen, I think there's a lot of ways for people to be able to give and also benefit from what Latinxna is doing. So, listen, if you're a community leader, I would say get involved, right? Be part of our board, or come be a speaker, right? And so, I think there's different ways. If you're somebody who's looking to get more leadership development and just build a network, right? Like join us for like the the different LRG conferences, or just kind of engage with us online. What I would say where I hope that we go to is again, I think that the group has built a nice solid base in terms of I would say that the people who are attending our events are definitely getting benefit and real benefit from those. But I think now, as we look at 2021, I think it's going to be about how do we look at different partnerships and making sure that we are truly like kind of balancing the need for professional development and also like community development,
For
right?
sure.
And so, I would like us to kind of think about, and what's great is that a lot of the people that are joining our boards have a lot of, they're involved pretty heavily in the community, right? So I think we could leverage those relationships with local groups as well, in terms of like, hey, what can Latinxna do to kind of help support some of those local community groups as well? So.
For sure. How do you think, if you would have had Latinxna earlier in your professional career, how do you think it would have impacted the path that you would have gone on? Or how do you think it would have impacted you as a person if you would have been involved with it at maybe right at the start of your professional career?
Yeah, good question. I think it would be, it would have had a big impact on me. I think what I would have found is definitely I would have created a much bigger network outside of just my company, right? I think so many times we work for a certain company and we kind of think about building networks there in terms of like, hey, who can I meet internally here that either, can help guide me through my career and maybe hopefully help me grow in my career. But I think, one thing I wish is that I would have been connected a little bit more broadly to just the Northwest Arkansas community, because I realize now that there's just like so many different companies. It's very diverse. There's so many leaders within our region here that I wish I would have had more access to early on in my career. For sure,
yeah. And so that's the cool part, right? Is creating this Latinxna community for these people to get involved in their early professional careers. We talked to Jose Socorro earlier, and Jose was like, I'm still a kid. I think about myself as, early in my career, and I think about myself as young. And so to have this environment and this community and this inclusivity, it's important. And he said it's really helped him, and it's really made him who he is today, which is the cool part. And so creating that environment, empowering other Latinas in this community, and really showing that it's that culture and the Latin culture is important in this area is a big deal. If you have anything you want to add, anything you want to touch on that we didn't get to touch on about Latinxna, go for it. But I think
sure, yeah. No, I think what I would say is, and kind of piggybacking on your comment about what Jose said earlier, I think what's great is you can be involved in Latinxna regardless of where you're at in your career, right? You don't have to even be in a career yet, right? You could still be a student or somebody who's thinking about what do I want to do? What are the things I want to do later in life? But I think we're all kind of in different stages of our career, and I would say I'm not at the end of my career, but I think I'm at a place in my career where I want to start thinking about how do I give back, right? How do I start to help those? And help those get prepared to take on bigger and better opportunities. And so that's what I like about this, is that I think it's a good mix of folks that are either like young and very aspirational and want to kind of go conquer the world. And I think you have a lot of other folks too who have been around for a long time and have seen kind of like the goods and bads in terms of like kind of like how the region and the area and what could we do better. So I think that's what I think that's the opportunity I feel I have now as the co-chair of the group, is like, how do I bring some of that kind of experience and knowledge that I've had through my career and really empower those who are like ready to take on the next challenge.
Yeah, I love that. That. Thank you so much for giving us your time. Thank you so much for giving us your insight and your words of wisdom. We really appreciate it, and we hope to have you back, because we know there's plenty more to talk about. So
good. Yeah,
but
I'm
thank
excited.
you. Yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We are here with Mallory Magie. Thank you so much for joining us, Mallory.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you kind of got into the mix when it comes to Latinxna and Serve to Perform.
Okay. So my name is Mallory Magie. I am originally from Cabot, Arkansas. Moved up to Northwest Arkansas to go to school at the university and never left. I was one of those transplants that just decided to stick around. And I worked in social work for the beginning part of my career and decided that I would take a break from social work. I moved into corporate America, working for J.B. Hunt for a while. I was there for about 3 or 4 years and decided to try out the nonprofit realm. And so I worked in the nonprofit space for a little bit and then found myself looking for a home and got to talk with Dr. Adam Arroyos, and one thing led to another, and I joined the Serve to Perform team, and now I serve as the Director of Operations for Serve to Perform, and I have the privilege of working on Latinxna. It was kind of just a voluntold assignment, not really. I didn't volunteer for Latinxna. I really felt like it was kind of out of my wheelhouse because I'm not a Latino or Latina, and so I felt like this wasn't the right project for me, and Adam kind of challenged me with this project and said he had full faith in me operating it, and so here I am.
Yeah. And that's so cool. I think that tells a lot too about your relationship with Adam, for him to be like, hey, I'm going to challenge you to do this. I want to push you to do this because he knows you're capable, for sure. So tell us a little bit about how you got started with Latinxna. Like, where did it start? Was he like, hey, here's this huge project I want you to work on? Or was he like, hey, let's break this down? Or how did that come about?
Okay. Back in 2019, I actually attended the Latinxna Empowerment Forum, the very first one, as a guest. Serve to Perform had invited me to attend just as a complimentary guest, and so I came and enjoyed the conference, got my little t-shirt here.
Here we go.
That Megan made. And I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I loved the environment. I loved the speakers. I loved how there was this personal touch and this element to it. And then, despite all of those things, it was like a great mission, a great cause. It was a community of people that were like-minded.
Yeah.
And so just experiencing it from as an attendee outside of the company, that was incredible. And then when joining the company, I kind of found myself always helping out on some of the projects, helping out with events, getting things organized and ready to go for the next thing that we had going on with Latinxna. And then I guess probably in the middle of COVID, we really had to restructure how we were doing everything. And we moved everything over into virtual, and I kind of just like stepped up and took over with transitioning everything over into the virtual, making sure that we could still have all of these events that we had planned. They wouldn't look exactly the same as we had planned, but they would still have the same personal touch that we wanted, where people walked away from our events thinking that had value, that had an impact, that was worth my time.
For sure, yeah. How do you think Latinxna has impacted this community here in Northwest Arkansas?
So I think the impact is relatively small right now, and I think the beauty of Latinxna is that the impact is just going to grow and it's going to become so much larger.
Yeah.
You know, we're only a year in to Latinxna, and everything that we've done in the past year is huge. So I think what Latinxna has really done for the community is that it started to bring people together.
For sure.
And it started to bring these young Latino professionals into a community space that is safe and open and constantly empowering and supportive of what they're wanting to do in their career. So it's not like an organization where we tell you, you know, this is what you have to do by a certain date. It's nothing like that. It's just a community of people that want to support you, want to support your talent, want to see you succeed, and do it genuinely and authentically.
Yeah, and I think that's the best part about it. I think that's what makes it so unique.
Yeah.
Is, you know, the inclusivity of it and the fact that we're Caucasian women and we're involved in Latinxna. I think that's the coolest part.
Right.
And inclusion and having that inclusivity inclusivity in that environment, in that empowering environment. And it's not just empowering for the Latinos who are there, but it's empowering for us as well to be involved.
Yeah.
And to really see it firsthand, and for you mainly to be the one that's really directing behind the scenes and kind of coordinating everything.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's an honor because I'm a privileged white woman. I recognize the role that I have in society, and the fact that I am accepted by this community of Latinos, and that are just willing to put forth their extra time, their energy, their insights, their experience, all into this group, this collective of individuals, I think is really cool.
Yeah, for sure. How important do you think it is that we have this empowerment forum and we have these events virtual during a time that not a lot of people are getting face-to-face interaction? Not a lot of people are having these conversations that we've been able to have. How important do you think these events are for mental health, or even just for creating and keeping that inclusivity of that environment?
Yeah, I mean, professional development and personal development is crucial no matter what. It's made it even harder with COVID to do things outside of the virtual space. So the fact that we have this platform, this virtual platform, to execute everything that we had planned is so beautiful because, just like you said, we're pulling in those people that, where am I going with this? Like, those people are coming in to these events that might not have had something like that engagement.
Exactly.
They're having breakout sessions, they're having having conversations, communicating with executives, managers in other companies, senior level managers, directors, and then also just other individuals, employees, individual contributors of companies. They're all having these types of conversations, and they're getting to learn from very, very senior level, C-level executives. I think that's incredible.
For sure. Yeah. And I think that's the even more unique thing about Latinxna and what it has to offer for the people who get involved, or the people who even just come to an empowerment forum or just watch an empowerment forum, as the case will be this year. You know, just being on that call, or just being, tuned in for 2.5 hours is more than what some people are getting right now.
Yeah.
And to have that career building, to have that, it's impactful. It can be very impactful for sure.
Especially with our speakers. So when I think about the lineup of speakers that we have for the 2020 Empowerment Forum, I mean, it's a range of people representing a host of different industries, as far as arts, business, consumer capitalism, everything. And these individuals have this insight and this perspective to share with everybody else that you can't really get.
Yeah.
You have to consistently put yourself into these types of events, into these types of development opportunities to learn and to grow from them.
Yeah.
So the fact that we have a community of professionals that are interested in engaging is huge.
Yeah, for sure.
And we wouldn't be who we are if we didn't have this group of individuals.
Yeah. And I think that's another thing that just makes it so unique.
Yeah.
And so important for this area. Looking forward, so we're going to experience what this 2020 Empowerment Forum is, right? And we will have experienced this when this goes live, this podcast goes live. But what do we look forward to for 2021?
For 2021?
In Latinxna.
All right. So within Latinxna for 2021, you can look forward to more virtual events that are going to give you that same experience, where you find value and you grow individually and professionally. We'll have plenty of virtual events, but we're also really, really hopeful that we can have the Empowerment Forum as an in-person event again for 2021. So that's our goal, is to have all of us be able to come together again late next year, 2021, and have our Empowerment Forum in person.
Yeah, for sure.
But,
which I think is, right now, that's understandable for a lot of people, because we hope here in the next few months that everything will kind of start to regulate back to normal, hopefully. But we'll see. That's just kind of part of right now. But I think the unique thing is, though, we're going to do this Empowerment Forum, this 2020 Empowerment Forum online, but we could do it online in 2021 too, And that's the cool thing. That's what makes it so powerful, is that, being in person and hearing from these speakers would be so much more intentional, but you can still hear from them.
Right. I don't think you've missed anything just because you haven't been in person. I think for me personally, I've gained more being in the virtual world, not having to worry about being in person and the stresses and anxieties that come with that. It's been great. You know, you get to sit behind your computer in the comfort of your own home in your sweatpants, and you get to hear from people like Brett Biggs and Blanca Trevino and Al Dominguez and Hector Gonzalez, and then you get Celia Swanson and Wendy Guerrero, and you're like, I'm just at home kicking it, you know, and like I'm getting this incredible content and this feedback from people at really great levels and successes in life.
For sure. Do you have anything else you want to add about Latinxna or anything you want to touch on?
You have to you make it work, and I was thinking about or reflecting on that earlier today, like how have we made it work with a pandemic, with having nothing in the budget to make this happen. How has it all come together? And it's because, one, like the team that we have of people, but two, our SEAL team, our EAC team, those people are what I mean, and then our Circle Form team as well. But those relationships that we've had with executives that are willing to ask people to come in and speak, and then our executives that serve on the committee and that they come in and speak for our fireside chats, for our forums, for our conferences, for our virtual collisions. I mean, they're rock stars.
For sure.
So couldn't do it without them.